Herzlich willkommen zurück, Digital Days 2021, genial digital, das nachhaltige Wien. Und das nachhaltige Wien ist im Austausch mit anderen Städten in Europa und deshalb können wir das diskutieren können, voneinander lernen. Wir haben jetzt 2 Sessions, die wir in englischer Sprache durchführen. Cities in Digital Know-how Exchange, now at 3 o'clock with the first batch of collaborators from around the world, and then a full online session at 4 o'clock again with representatives of different cities. Thank you very much for making this possible. If you also are here on site, you have the possibility also to sneak into the HB workshop called Nachhaltige digitale Produktion in einer Großstadt. For us, it's a pleasure. We have one Lorena Skiljan to host and moderate this following Cities in Digital Know-how Exchange session. She's the founder and managing partner of Noble Group. She's a lecturer in digital business. She's advisor at the European Advisory Board member at the European Utilities Week, and she's the co-founder of Blockchain Austria. Lorena, it's your stage.
Thank you, Martin. So, hello to everyone. Thank you for coming in present or online. I'm very proud to hosting and moderate today's session on Cities in Digital Know-how Exchange. We will be talking about cooperation and interconnection of large urban areas and how we can start or already started the joint international actions. It's about our cities, it's about improving the living in our cities. I'm very proud to moderate today's session, and now I will ask our panelists to come to the stage to introduce shortly their projects in their own city towns. And then afterwards we will start a panel discussion. If you have any questions, I will be very, very glad to take up the questions and to discuss them on the stage. So please first welcome Klemens Himpele, the CIO of the city of Vienna. Then I would like to ask Benjamin Seibel, the director of CityLAB Berlin. And Michal Fišer, General Manager of Operátor ICT. This is the ICT company of City of Prague. Moreover, we have also 2 online participants. So this will be the Leonie van der Beuken. She's a program director, Smart City Amsterdam, and Nathalie Klauser as co-president of Smart City Alliance. First of all, I would ask our 3 panelists to shortly introduce their own projects within their own cities. So we will start with Klemens. Please, the stage is yours. You can stay sitting, or you can also stand up. Please.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for the possibility. I think if we talk about the digitalization in city or regions, we face probably the same problems in all the regions because let's say in this way, in the past it was like you have a digital department or you have an organization which is in charge for the digitalization, but there was little or too little idea that you need the departments, the other departments in charge for kindergartens, for street cleaning, for whatever they are, in the boat, if you like, to really digitalize the processes. So in the past you had an agency, you had a department, and the idea was a little bit like I order digitalization, and then I get a package, I open it, and then digitalization is done. And that is what happened often, so you still have a lot digital processes working with emails, for example, or with Excel spreadsheets, and this has nothing to do with the idea of a really digital use case where the life will be better for the inhabitants and the entrepreneurs in a city. And that's why I think the aim is probably pretty much the same around the cities, that you try to organize a platform or a one-stop shop or a single point of contact or however you name it, where all the inhabitants and entrepreneurs can do their businesses and their contacts with the authorities. And in the back end, you have a really digitized system, so no employee of the city of Vienna has to touch this conversation. Just if there are some special needs, of course, you need the employees doing that. And that's the way digitalization starts now to work. And in this way, I think Corona, the pandemic, helped us a lot. Because there was an idea, with the beginning of the pandemic, we need to ensure that the persons are able to have a corona test or that they are isolated, and even if they need a doctor, they should not use the tram or the tube to ride across the city. So what we need was digital solutions. There was no other possibility. Of course, you had also telephone solutions, but in the end, to have a system like in Vienna with around 800,000 tests a week, you cannot do that in a non-digital way, especially if you don't want to have contacts with other persons. And this forced a lot of persons to use these digital tools. The second topic which forced persons to use digital tools was home office, of course, and homeschooling and so on. So the idea of the city of Vienna is to create this My Vienna platform. I mean, we do have this platform, but it's not. It's far away from being finalized. With this really digital processes in the departments of the city of Vienna. The second topic I want to talk about very shortly is a project which is called Vienna Provides Space in English, Wien gibt Raum. The idea is that you have a lot of conflicts in the public space in a city like Vienna and probably also in Amsterdam and Berlin and Prague. Because there are several needs in the public space. For example, you want to do a business, you want to have a beer garden, or I don't know, with this weather, 20 degrees tomorrow, it's probably more about ice cream than about a beer garden maybe. Or you need parking spaces, or you need other spaces, for example, if you have construction works and so on. And the idea is that we take our pictures we took from the city. Like everyone knows Google Street Maps, we did this as a city by ourselves. So we have the pictures of the city in our system, and we can do these, or we can give answers to these questions at our desktop. So we don't have to go there and to measure, is there enough space for a beer garden? You can do it at the desktop, or you can even do it fully automated in some cases. And we also use these pictures to start first a project with artificial intelligence, because you have a lot of pictures there. You have the street signs, for example, which you have to check every from time to time. And if you can do this via artificial intelligence, you probably are much better and more precise, because you never could hire so much workforce to do it in a non-digital way. And the last topic, just because it has to do with our general topic of today, the question: how can digital tools help to tackle the climate crisis, or the aims we have in context with the climate crisis? I just want to say that we have a celebration of 10 years of open government data this year. We had it 2 months past. And we have a lot of data connected with greenhouse gases or other climate data online. And at the moment there is a hackathon with a girls' hackathon outside here, and they deal with that data to find solutions how we can help to reduce greenhouse gases in Vienna. That's 3 topics I just want to mention, and I think but in the end, it's not a single project which helps you with the digitization. You need the idea how it could work in a kind of an ecosystem, of a public ecosystem, public-private ecosystem, because in the end, the aim must be that the life is much easier for the inhabitants and the entrepreneurs in Vienna.
Exactly. Thank you, Klemens, for this short insights in what's happening in the city of Vienna in terms of digitalization and, of course, in terms of environment projects and how these both topics support each other. Michal, would you like to introduce your initiatives from Prague?
Yes, please. Thank you. First of all, thank you for having me here in this beautiful Vienna.
It's our pleasure.
I always like to come here. Just short introduction. My name is Michal Fišer. I'm the CEO of the city-owned company, company owned by the city of Prague. And basically, we are the IT company of Prague. This decision was made about 6 years ago when the company was established, because Prague already realized, or the representatives, that there will be a huge uplift of or demand for the IT topics for the city of Prague and digitalization as the topic. So we're actually dealing with this every day, and we actually connected as well to the sustainability, the environment sustainability as well. And I wanted to mention this also as my pre-speaker. A year ago, Prague committed to a so-called climate commitment that actually the city will be, in about 10 years, it will reduce its CO2 emissions by 45%, and it wants to become emission neutral in 2050. This is one part of the whole picture. The second part is that we are working for the Prague citizens in a way that we are trying to digitalize the different agendas that the individual people wants to deal with the municipality, and the target is clear, and it needs to be such a digitalization that the people will actually can be able to sort all their daily routine without going to the municipality office. They can do it through the internet. So those are two areas that we are concentrating on. Operátor ICT, my company, is also running the Smart City Project Office. So we are actually piloting all the smart city projects in the city of Prague. We are actually getting a lot of motivation and from the projects from Vienna also, and from other European cities, and to be particular about the areas that we are concentrating on. In this area, we are working in the projects from the public transport area, from e-mobility, then the digitalization, internal towards the office, towards the municipality, as well as external towards the Prague citizens. Then we are also working on the projects from the waste collection area and from building energy consumption in the buildings, especially owned by the city. The last but not least, I wanted to mention our data platform. We actually realized that the data that are being collected in the city are pretty crucial to every project. So we developed our own city data platform about 3 years ago, and we use it as a data warehouse where we collect all the data from the municipality, from our projects, from different companies owned by the city of Prague. And through this huge warehouse of data, we can actually provide a really good information for the precise decisions of the city representatives. As one example that was driven by this data collection is our project called Green Roofs, where we actually, through the data, identified about 140 hectares of space on top of the buildings, around 800 buildings that can be covered by green, by plants, which actually at the end decreases the CO2 emissions, cools down the building, as well as makes the environment better. So this is one example that of the project that was driven by our initiative, and I think it was pretty successful.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for introducing the projects to us. Ben, I would like to ask you to introduce us a little bit. What are you doing in Berlin?
Of course. So also thank you for inviting me to this beautiful city again. I was excited to hear that you had your 10th Open Data anniversary as well, because we did too 2 months ago. So I think Berlin and Vienna were two of the early movers in this field, and it's exciting to see both of us still going. I think it's still a long way to go with open government data, but I'm happy to see this ecosystem evolving more and more. My name is Benjamin. I'm the director of CityLAB Berlin. CityLAB is a public innovation space in the old airport in Tempelhof. So Berlin used to have an airport right in the city center. It was closed down in 2008, and now this huge and really fantastic building is mostly empty, but in a small part of it we have around 800 square meters where we run a public innovation space. So you might wonder what that actually is, a public innovation space. So it's a project that is funded by our mayor's office, by the Senate Chancellery of Berlin, but it's run through a non-profit foundation with the idea of exploring the possibilities of digital transformation together with the citizens of Berlin. So one idea was to have a space that is actually really, really open. You can just walk in if you're there at Platz der Luftbrücke in Berlin. Just come by. You can just open the door, come in. We have an exhibition. We have workshop spaces, lots of events going on. The idea behind that was that we have a very active civil society in Berlin when it comes to digital transformation, and really a lot of expertise from civil society, from the open data community and so on. Also brilliant academics in the field of digital transformation. And then we have the government, of course, that has this huge task of also, changing and evolving and coming up with new ideas. And many people had the impression that there was kind of a gap between the expertise in the city and what happened behind government doors. So the idea to have an open space where people from government would work, but also, people from the hacker community could just walk in and sit down with these people from government and exchange ideas. That was one key idea of CityLAB, and the other one was to really have a hands-on approach and delivery approach to digital transformation. So CityLAB is not a place where we just discuss ideas, but it's a place where people develop software, where people analyze data, where people do service design thinking projects. So this really hands-on approach was really important to us and is to this day, because it's a whole different thing to learn through practice than just from theory, especially when it comes to digitalization, because this is a lot about trial and error. This is about trying new things that you have never done before and maybe failing and learning and trying again. But I have the feeling in Germany is still on the political level, there's a lot of discussion about we should do something with AI, we should do more with data, we need this, we need that. But sometimes you just have to try things out, and that's what we do. So at CityLAB, we are a small team of around 30 people by now, software developers, public policy experts, designers, participation experts, and so on. And they all work together with different stakeholders from the city in developing real projects. So one example that I actually presented here about 2 years ago is a platform on urban trees. It's called Gieß den Kiez. That's Berlin slang for water your neighborhood. And it's an online platform where you can find information about every tree in the city. It's built out of open government data, actually, and where you as a citizen can adopt certain trees and make a mark if you have watered the tree, for example, and other people can see that. So you have some kind of coordination, because lots of people in Berlin, we realized, in the summer, they go out and water the trees in front of their house. So through this platform, the idea was everyone can see, it's like a gamification approach. And you can see, okay, there's a tree in my road that has not been watered for 2 weeks, so maybe I go out and water it. And this was one of many experiments that we do, small applications that we just launch. Some get no interest at all. This one went viral. It has thousands of users until this day. So sometimes you're successful, sometimes not, but that's part of this process of exploring new possibilities of digital transformation. And I know I have to be quick, but the newest thing that we are doing is we are developing a new smart city strategy for Berlin with the same idea, with the same approach. And that approach approach is, how would a smart city strategy look like that is not written behind government doors, but that is written by citizens? So we are running various formats of citizen participation to come up with ideas, and especially with citizens that usually would not be included in participation. So we did focus workshops with homeless people, for example, or with little kids in schools, or with refugees, to just get all these different perspectives on what is the city of the future for you. And you get very different ideas than you would get from a government department. And it's really interesting to trying to integrate both of these worlds together. And one key thing, and that's my last sentence, one key thing that we've learned is digital transformation is not a goal in itself. You know, you never find citizens that say, I want to have a digital city. No, people want mobile transformation in mobility. They want a revolution in energy. And digital transformation might be the tool or give us the opportunities to reach these goals faster, but it's never a goal in itself. So we try to combine digital transformations with bigger normative values and with a value-based approach to smart cities.
Thank you, Ben. I love it. Sounds really great. I would like to start a small discussion before we move to Amsterdam. So actually you tackled already somehow what I was trying to approach to, and it's like a question, is digitalization of our cities actually an enabler, you know, so you can provide to the citizens and of course to the business in the city what they need to go like into the future, or is actually digitalization like a project for itself? Just a little bit connected, because you see a lot of initiatives are just, you know, like digital tools, you know, how can I use some governmental stuff that I formerly needed to go somewhere to doing it, or this and that, but actually I would be more interested in how digitally, or you know, how this project will enable our cities actually to become more sustainable, to become also, we have a big issue with, you know, we are elderly society, so how digitalization in the cities will enable in the future that we live better in the cities, that it's, you know, just more comfortable, that we don't problems with overheating our cities and all these things. So I think the punctual tools and initiatives, so just to tackle a little bit, you know, the discussion, is digitalization an enabler, and how we can get there, that it's actually an enabler. So you started somehow, but maybe you can touch on that a little bit.
Okay, I think that the question is clearly answered. It is a tool. Digitalization is a tool and not an ideology. Yeah, I mean, I know that it's often discussed in a way like it's an ideology. Everything has to be digitalized. But as you may know, Vienna is very proud of being a city with a very high quality of living. Yeah. And what does that mean, a high quality of living, if you look from the perspective of a public administration? It means that it is very easy, or as easy as possible, to organize your all-day life in the city like Vienna. So the kindergartens are open from 6 to 6. Actually, they are free of a fee. You have playgrounds, you have parks, you have a very good working public transportation system, and so on. Yeah, you have this brilliant water coming from the Alps. And if we transform this in a digital era, then it's totally clear what digitalization has to do. It has to help the population, and of course also the companies, to organize their all-day life, their contacts with the authorities, and also to with the services of the authorities in an easy way. And that's why, I mean, you mentioned design thinking and so on. I think the tools are well known. The way to really organize it is a long way to go, because it's hard work, step by step. You have to do it. But in the end, it's totally clear. The aim must be that we have a better living for the inhabitants of Vienna. That's why public administration is there. Yeah? And in the coalition agreement we have in Vienna, there is the phases of digital humanism, which exactly means we need to use the tools to make the life better. I know that there is also a lot of companies with the same aim, so we can use that. Yeah? And to turn it the other way around, technological progress was always the basis of our wealth, and I think there's no doubt about it. But this technological progress was also the aim of debates in the past, and it must be a debate in the present and in the future as well, in which way we want to use these digital tools. But the important topic was mentioned by Benjamin. It's a tool. It's not an aim in itself, and I think it should be clear now after, I don't know, a decade of debates on that. But I think we still have this debate. It's not. I mean, why should I do something in a digital way if everyone is happy in having it in an analog way? For example, if Corona is over, maybe we should reorganize conferences like this in an analog way, because it is another setting than if you have an hybrid format or even an online format. Absolutely. But of course, the technology is there.
But are you actually also thinking about just providing the infrastructure so that citizens are not connecting with the government of the city of Vienna, but connecting under each other and doing things with each other without having any need or a necessity to go to the city of Vienna? That was actually my question. Well, is the city going to provide an infrastructure like a public transportation? Because I'm not connected with the city when I use the public transportation. I go to work and I go to visit my friends or to my family. So actually my question is going in a direction, will you give us a digital infrastructure which we all can use for all kind of purposes, not only to connect with the city and to get the new driving license or whatever I need, or kindergarten or...
Well, that happened also in the past and will happen in the future as well. I mean, it started with the hotspots of wireless LAN, and of course we have the infrastructure for the school buildings and the technical equipment for the pupils. This is infrastructure, yes, and of course there is the question is what is a task for the public sector to organize. In the debate we had before, but in German, it was 2 debates before, the topic was the participation of inhabitants, and of course there is a lot of new possibilities with digital way of participation, and that's what we do with the platform, the participation platform. This is also kind of an infrastructure, if you like. And of course we have the debate on 5G and the question how broadband is facilitated through the city area. This is typical infrastructure projects, and there's always the question what is done by private actors and what is done by the public sector, and probably this might differ a little bit between cities, but in the end it's totally clear you need this infrastructure, because without the infrastructure you cannot use digital tools. But it's quite simple, but sorry, if I didn't get the question the first time. Of course we do that. That is out of a debate.
Thank you. Maybe just a short view to Prague before we go to Amsterdam on this question. Thank you.
I actually have an example of 2 projects. One was, or 2 examples that where the city of Prague is successful in digitalization, and one where is actually failing, I think. The one that the city of Prague is successful is for the citizens to provide a system that they will be able to buy the tickets for the public transportation. About 4 years ago, I think about 60 or 70% of people, when they wanted to buy a ticket for public transportation, one-time ticket or for the whole year, they would go somewhere in the underground, in the metro, and they would buy it by cash. Today, a huge role in it played the COVID, of course, but today about 90% of people are buying online, and about 60% through their mobile application, which my company is actually running. That's why I have the data, which is great, right, compared to those 4 years ago. Where the city of Prague is failing is in the area of mobility. I think there is an increasing trend of the traffic jams. Based on the data, I think people in Prague spend about 7 days per year stuck in the traffic jam, which is actually more than in Berlin. I saw some chart a while ago, but it's less than in Warsaw, for example. And I think the trend is getting worse. So I think there we need to concentrate more, collect the data, coordinate the constructions more, and also explain in a good way why people should use more transportation, because the COVID didn't help it too much. People maybe feel safer in the car now than in the public transportation. So there is a certain challenge for the city representatives to work on. I think
transportation, we all have a big issue. We need to go for it. Okay, let's go. Let's now jump to Amsterdam, to Leonie. Are we getting it on the screen? Hi, Leonie. So Leonie van der Beuken is a program director, Smart City Amsterdam, and we are. I hope the warm up in Vienna was good enough for Amsterdam, and we are looking forward to your short 5-minute presentation about your initiative, and then we will go into the next discussion together with you. Thank you.
I have many projects. We don't do projects at all because we are only the accelerator, the platform, but our partners have quite a lot. I have these 3 picked out for you. The first I'm very fond of because this is by use of actors. We enable a discussion between professionals and citizens to make sure they have the same speaking ground. Mobility as a common, I'm very fond of because lots of sharing mobility is called sharing, but actually is renting mobility. You rent from BMU or you rent from PON, whatever. Here we try to enable citizens to share their cars between themselves. And of course, AI for cities together with other European cities, where we try to use AI for better cities. And again, in a most neutral, citizen-centric way as possible. For us, the key elements in innovation already touched upon some of them. It's not about smart, it's about values, it's about humans. It's always about the symbiosis of technical innovation, but also social innovation. Getting as much as people on board with stakeholders, but also the ecosystem. And for us, very important to have this regional scope, because it's not only about the city, but about the surrounding citizens as well, and visitors. And for us, what we notice whenever you want to cooperate, it's very important to be perseverant and make sure everyone steps in with an open mindset and really willingness and curiosity to participate. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Leonie. Very impressive. So now we have seen or we have heard about 4 initiatives or different initiatives in 4 different cities, and actually it's all around moving around the same topics. It's about the energy, it's about the transportation, it's about circular economy, so sustainability. So actually, did you also, I think that the topics are the same, more or less the solutions would be the same or slightly different, but actually more of the same. So how do you collaborate between the cities? Do you think about some new form of collaborations, because we don't need all to do more of the same? We can maybe share that experiences. We can just, say this worked out in Amsterdam, so why shouldn't it work out in Vienna? Maybe it wouldn't, So, but how do you approach to this? Actually, not doing more of the same, but even if there's maybe really a lot of room for failures, because sometimes I think this is great, but in some other city or some other country, it doesn't work at all because just the people are thinking differently. So how do you meet that? Maybe we'll start with Leonie, because she's online and normally always drop the people who are not present. So Leonie, would you share with us about collaboration forms?
Yeah, I'm glad to. Well, one of those collaboration forms is already today, of course. Being here is very inspiring, and I guess I will have a phone call here and there with someone. AI for cities is really a cooperation between cities. Within a couple of weeks, we will be in Barcelona cooperating again, meeting each other. So I truly see the same topics, the same needs. And we have lots of cities visiting us, and we visiting other cities, because it's very important to share. So, So we do, and I love being here for that reason as well. I'm going to visit Berlin again and see this open space lab, because we have something similar, but not as
Me too.
nice as this was called.
Yeah, but do you go a little bit more concrete? Do you talk about implementing joint technical standards for I don't know, maybe e-mobility or some sustainable goals, or just to say, okay, all of the cities, we know these standards is the minimum you need in the city, so you share that with other ones so that they don't need to, just more than we meet together and see there is a nice initiative, we could try it out. How concrete do you actually go into this collaboration?
Yeah, that mostly our partners do. So the City of Amsterdam works closely together with different cities. I'm not from the City of Amsterdam. We are a mentor region within European initiatives. There we do have cooperation systems in place where it goes further than this inspirational talk. So, and there we define standards and share standards. So of course that's true as well.
Thank you.
That's mostly for us, mostly done by our partners, not by my organization.
Surely. Could you share some experience? Do you have a project where out of project you came out with some standardization, which was then implemented in some other city, just to have it a little bit more concrete? Ben?
Yeah. I mean, on the one hand, as part of the smart city strategy, we have been building communities of practice, like government working level relations between cities, just discussing what works, what not, how we organize our works, also beyond the traditional silos in government. We learned a lot from New York, for example, but also from Amsterdam. Then there is indeed more technical cooperations that evolve around shared source codes, for example. I think that Amsterdam and Barcelona did a great thing with Decode. I think really set a standard there for a well-known project. We do this too on a smaller scale. We try to be very transparent also on a technical level on what we are doing. This is, in my opinion, the first step to collaboration is work in the open, communicate, we are working on this or that, here's our approach, here's our source code. Really, we don't need to have any secrets. We are not in competition with other cities. And there we have first small successes. So I just mentioned this platform with the city trees where you can water the trees. This was a fully open sourced project where we put also a lot of effort on documenting the project really well so that others could use it. And now our neighbor city in Leipzig, they were able to reproduce this for Leipzig. So they built on our source code. They did their own version of Gießen-Kiez Leipzig. And now they're improving the platform in a way that we can take over the improvements. And that's exactly the way technological cooperation should work. So we are big advocates for open source code, for open data, open standards. And I think there's lots of opportunities there for cities to do more in the future. I could go on for this, but I'd leave it here.
Yeah, but this is great. Clemens, do you have this type of examples also from Vienna? And another question, do you think Viennese would also go with the trees action? Or I'm not that sure if the Viennese people would water the trees on the streets.
Well, we do have a well-functioning public administration, and they are watering the trees. But
that's maybe true, yes. I was thinking about the past 10 minutes, like, would Viennese people do that, actually go into the street?
I have no idea.
Okay, let's see, let's try. But of the course, source code would be
what Ben mentioned, I think that's the same all around. We have a lot of cooperation, especially also in Austria with other cities in Austria. But there are also platforms like the Fiser organization, which tries to set standards in a platform logic. And you have Euro cities, you have the major cities of Europe. But I want to emphasize a second part of this cooperation. You have, in some topics, you need another European legislative framework. And the cities have not a singular voice in the European Union because it's up to the nations. And for example, when it comes to the Digital Services Act, there was a huge cooperation between Amsterdam and Prague, and in Germany it was the Deutsche Städtetag, which is an organization or association of the I think it's the huge the bigger German cities. and other cities like Barcelona. And we work together in giving the European Commission an idea what the cities would like to have a regulation should look like. We will see what happens because at the moment they debate it in Brussels, so there should be a debate in the Parliament by December this year. But the debate was at least 5 years, lasted at least 5 years in the past, and this was really a huge, brilliant cooperation with the cities I mentioned before. When it comes to short-term holiday rental, it was led by Amsterdam. When it comes to other topics, it was often Vienna, and so every city has not the same but similar problems, and in some of them you really need a European regulation because otherwise it will not work. But these are different levels. You have the legislative level, you have the level Ben mentioned with the technical standards, and of course the open source code. And we had the same you mentioned with Leipzig. We have also with an Austrian city that we developed something, they took it, made it better, and we took it back and improved it again. So this is the way how digitalization works. Yeah.
Thank you. Michael, we are at the moment screening all our rooftops because we need to provide their PV, and you are providing gardens to your rooftop. Do you think that you can maybe match, this screening rooftops for your greening the rooftops and, make a match and say, okay, is it better for PV or for greening? What would be better, before we put in Vienna everywhere a PV on a rooftop, maybe we can do a collaborative tool on your tool to see, okay, what's better actually for this specific rooftop PV or greening it?
Definitely. We actually organize, we try to participate in this international collaboration and communication. And we actually organize already 4th time our Prague City Data Congress, which is actually taking place next week, 25th, 26th of October. And we're all happy to visit it online, just to register on the praguecityDataCongress.eu. And this is exactly the way how to provide information about such projects, and people can actually ask here, and we can start a collaboration. So this is a perfect example. And we have a lot of international guests there, a lot of international speakers from all around the world, and especially Europe, of course. Yeah. And coming back to the beginning when you were asking what is the most efficient way how to share the information, according to me, the personal contacts on the conferences like this, visiting the other cities, me, myself, and my team. We were a few times in Barcelona, a few times in Vienna, a few times in Berlin. Last time we visited in Berlin the central for the transportation control by the old Flughafen. So we are trying to visit the other cities. We are trying to visit cities where we can get the inspiration. And in many cities they do the things. They're much farther than we are in Prague in certain areas, and it's always good to get the feedback before we start. And it's efficient. It saves money. And it speeds up the projects.
Absolutely. There is nothing better than communication. Learning that every day from you. Okay, so now I would like to move to Nathalie.
Hello.
Yeah, hi Nathalie. Hi, nice to have you still. Sorry for waiting a little bit. So this is Nathalie Klauser from Smart City Alliance. So we are looking forward to your short presentation about how the different stakeholder and expertise contribute to a joint goal. Looking forward. The stage is yours, or the screen is yours in this time.
Thank you very much for having me here. So I'm really thrilled to tell you about the Swiss side we have. So I heard from all over the European cities a little bit what you do. And so we founded the Smart City Alliance. So I'm the co-president here in Switzerland 2 years ago, with the focus to bringing all the different stakeholders together. So I would say the goal behind is to bring the scientific knowledge of research, the innovative power of business, the ethical and citizen-oriented push of NGOs and citizen initiatives, and the history of cities together for a better urban area. So I will share also one slide with you to show what kind of challenges we had to tackle there. Just a moment. No, that's the wrong one. Here we go. Good. So we had, do you see the presentation?
Yeah, perfect.
Hello?
Thank you. Perfect.
Okay. Oh, so we have the problem. So we had 3 problems in Switzerland. We started with Smart City Alliance. It was first we had market barriers. So where does it come, these market barriers? So new products and companies had really the focus to come into the market, but cities and municipalities were risk averse. And why are they so? Because they are talking about taxpayers, and they have a totally different way how to invest. And they have, of course, then questions, do you have use case for it? Have you tried it before? And so you really need to do the digital transformation in a totally different way when you want to do the push. So that's why we wanted to build a marketplace where we can put all the knowledge together, that the companies can show the municipalities and also the cities how the product and also their vision is going to work. And also the other problem is that there's this costs where we have in the CO2 fragments that so of course we want to have totally new solutions, but the problem is there that sometimes the money flows goes differently, and not all the CO2 costs are within one product. And when you want to change an ecosystem, how it is in the smart city ecosystem, you have to put it differently. So that's why we do here in the Smart City Alliance and on an offline marketplace where people can meet and create new products, but also within with the cities and the municipalities together. I really like, by the way, your input from Berlin, that you put also the inclusion part, that you work together with the initiative as we do it as well. So the second part is that smart city is really an intangible sort of thing. So most people cannot think about what is really smart city. Is it everything or nothing? And so our main aim is really to put all the forces together from the stakeholder side to show that smart city can be put in concrete projects. I really like that you all focused on showing what kind of project smart city means. So it's extremely broad, but it's really important to get the support for smart city projects, that you go out and show the public what smart city means. And it's not, as you said before, a digital only thing. It's bringing the instrument of digitalization within to have a better city, but it can be totally offline as well. And of course, as cities and municipalities, as I said, have to work with taxpayers' money. They need really orientation. Their risk aversion is totally understandable when you think about they have problem with new products, new experiments. What is the protection of the investment they're putting in? So that's why we are working on a Smart City Ready label here in Switzerland with all the different businesses, but also with the cities. So they tell us what kind of criteria they need. So I'm talking here especially from Zurich, Basel, Geneva side, that they are telling us what kind of criteria they need. So we are talking about the biggest Swiss cities here. And we are negotiating with the different companies, what can they do in this field? And so we can start a labeling and also detect fraud in that cases. So what did we do in the last 2 years? So you told us a little bit of all the different hemispheres, as you can see. So this is the smart city wheel. We made it a little bit differently. So for our smart city ecosystem. So what we do, we just won from the Inno Booster. This is from the Swiss Innovation Bureau, a prize to really get a boost into the smart city. What we do is we do first kind of we call it kitchen. You can you have it also there for like hackathon workshops. We put all the different stakeholders together. So our main goal is really to have a different thinking and approach of it, and that we have it in a participatory way. And then we go together with the prototyping and really to look what really works for the city itself, but also for the economy side, and not forget the citizen side. So, and then we go into the scale up. So this is the last one, and ramp it up. So we're gonna start next year with the first mega trends, and this will be of just a moment. Yes, this will be clean mobility, carbon neutrality, and aging of the society.
Wonderful.
So thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, Nathalie. Thank you very much. Our last 10 minutes for our discussion are already like done, but I think we will take it for us. Just one last question from my side or something. I heard about how the city of New York actually started. So they have seen a huge problem. They will go underwater. So at that moment, as they realize it's really here, it's not like maybe happening or maybe not. It's really here. They start searching for a solution. And after they put something like a competition outside, who will give us a solution for this problem that it's actually here and not thinking about it, it's really here. They realized that there is not one solution. And at the end, there are, I don't know how many of different companies, universities, providing them a part of the solution for the whole problem, and working over, a few years already, and will work for another years, all together providing New York a solution for this problem. So there is no one problem and one solution. There is maybe one problem and many multiple solutions where we need to collaborate on multiple levels. So like government and universities and, like science, but also like businesses, startups, but also companies like the one who are always here, like utilities and telcos, and so what do you actually do, or do you think, because the problem is now also in our case here, it's 40 degrees in the summer, so it's not livable like for us, and it's going to be even less livable. So do you think about, approaching like this to that problem, to just like set up a hub and just to identify and put up the problem and say, come on, everybody, we need to jointly go for a solution for that, because there is no one solution. Who wants to? Ladies. Nathalie? Leonie?
Okay, I can start, yeah. Yes, I think most of the cities already established a hub and are quite good in it. But the problem is more the process, how to handle the different stakeholders and how to get them streamlined in a way that they can collaborate. And the most important part, that they can have a really good outcome of it. So they have to start in a looking in their eye in a really the same level, not that somebody is below, or that you think also, okay, yes, thank you for your input. Maybe we will put it in or not. So you really have to think what kind of participation you want to have. You will use the outcome or not, and you have to communicate. So only in this kind of way you can really assure that the participation will be really impactful and that people want to participate. I don't think that
it's a process,
the problem is that
moderating the process actually between the stakeholders. Okay. Do you see it also like that in Prague, Vienna?
Just a quick contribution. I think this is more of a global question, or it's definitely a task to be addressed, for example, by the European Union, right? Okay. And I think what can cities do is to support with the arguments towards their governments, towards the government of the European Union. For example, the Green Deal, which is sort of controversial theme, at least in the Czech Republic, with the raising prices of the energy, since something like it. There has to be a huge part of the city to explain to the citizens where it should go, how it contributes to the target, and I think that's the part of the cities and explain enough. I don't think the city itself can really address the global change. Maybe when you limit it enough, then you can address it. But this is very complex problem, I think.
Okay, Klemens.
Well, I can totally agree with what Nathalie said. Maybe one further comment. The more precise you are able to ask the question, the more precise the answers will be. I mean, if you say there is a climate change, please solve it. Well, or world peace or whatever, then it's hard to tackle. But if you have a precise project, it's okay, we want to make it better in this kind, then it's easier to handle the stakeholders, like Nathalie mentioned it.
Yeah. I think it's all about the communication. Okay, I think we run out of time, more or less. Yes, Martin is smiling, so I need to do a full stop here. Thank you so much. It was wonderful discussing with you. It was very, very interesting. I learned a lot, and I'm actually looking forward to our smart city, Vienna. Of course, it's my city, but also looking forward to visit all of your cities and see how your initiatives are improving. And I think we are on a great way to have our smart cities, and I'm really looking forward. Thank you so much, and thank you to the audience. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and there was a vivid discussion also online, and some links were shared where all your examples have also been shown. Thank you very much for that. It's a wonderful situation when cities are learning from each other, with each other, and this is a great initiative. So you have another online session with another batch of cities to have this knowledge sharing with you. And we also have the opportunity, und jetzt kann ich wieder auf Deutsch sprechen, für 17 Uhr Industry Meets Makers, das Best of, und 18 Uhr eine Special Edition, eine Spezialausgabe von Digital Health mit Freddy Merin. Bleiben Sie dran. Und bleiben Sie im Netzwerken, nutzen Sie die Möglichkeiten von B2Match auf unserer Seite DigitalCity.Wien. Und wir freuen uns noch auf die Interaktion heute und morgen am zweiten Tag der Digital Days 2021. Vielen herzlichen Dank. Dankeschön.